Hi, I'm Gretchen Burns Bergman, co-founder and executive director of A New Path, which stands for Parents for Addiction Treatment and Healing. We work to reduce the stigma associated with substance use disorders, and we advocate for therapeutic rather than punitive drug policies. I'm also the lead organizer of our international Moms United to End the War on Drugs campaign, which is now in 35 states and 6 countries, advocating to end the war on drugs, which is not a war on drugs, it's actually a war on us and on our families. September is National Alcohol and Drug Recovery Month. And every September, A New Path holds Strut for Sobriety. It's a signature recovery awareness event. It's really a celebration of these wonderful people who have found and sustained recovery. Unfortunately, this year, because of COVID-19, we are not able to meet in person, but we've created an amazing virtual event, which will happen on September 26th at 12 o'clock Pacific time, and until 1:30, you will be entertained, you will be amazed, you will be inspired by the stories of people in recovery, and we invite you to join us. I'll give you more information about how to do that a little bit later. But because of the dual crisis of COVID-19 as well as opioid overdose, we changed the name this year to be Strut for Saving Lives, which really reflects the life-saving work we're doing right now, as well as the fact that we need to go virtual this year. So with me are 2 beautiful women, as you could see. We've got Krista King and April Ella. Krista is a person in long-term recovery, coming up on 20 years recovery. She is a singer, a beautiful singer. She is a model. And she is also a high school teacher. She teaches photography. And she'll be telling us a little bit about her story and what brings her to this. And I must also brag that she's my goddaughter. And April Ella is our director of operations at A New Path, and she heads up our Ask Mom How to Save a Life local campaign for overdose prevention and Narcan training. And she and the other people that work with her on this are doing amazing work, but I'll let her tell you about it. So I'm going to start with Krista. If you would just please tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and what A New Path and what Strut for Sobriety, now Strut for Saving Lives, means to you and why you're enthusiastically involved.
Well, thank you, Gretchen. It is an honor to be part of anything that has to do with Strut for Sobriety and A New Path. For me, it was 20 years ago almost that I realized that my life had become unmanageable, and I was due to my addiction, and I had all this support from family members, and I knew where to go. And I went to meetings, and I did the 12 steps, and I just changed my life. And I was I was grateful to have another chance, And so from then on, my life has just gotten so much better being sober. And I moved home, and I went to school, and I got involved with Strut for Sobriety every year. And every year we just come together and celebrate that we are so grateful to be in recovery and to be healthy. And it's a very powerful event. And we look around and see all the people that are there lighting their candles. It's very overwhelming.
So Krista is describing, she sings in other shows for Gretchen Productions. I'm also a fashion show producer. She's a beautiful singer, but she sings a signature ending song where we invite people in recovery to come up on the runway holding candles to celebrate them. And it's so awe-inspiring. It's just a beautiful thing. And because she's a person in long-term recovery herself, it makes it all that much more special. So we'll be doing a mini version of that online.
There's every year. I say singing every year, and every year I think, oh, I got this. And every year I get so touched and emotional when I look around the room, and then it's hard to not have your voice crack. We're just grateful. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So April, you've been with the New Path how long?
Almost 6 years, about 6 years now.
Yeah. So please share how you got involved with A New Path and kind of transition from Gretchen Productions to A New Path, and tell a little bit about yourself, and then please tell us about the program.
I mean, it's kind of crazy thinking about the way that I started with Path, because actually I started in fashion as well. I went to college for fashion design, and I was interning with Gretchen in her fashion show production company. And my very first show that I actually worked with you was Strut. I think it was I can't remember now, it might have been the 9th or the 10th annual Strut for Sobriety that I was interning with you. And then that was the very first one that I did, and it kind of just projected from there. And I was just, like your backstage assistant for a long time. And I believe the person who started the program for the Ask Mom How to Save a Life campaign, Jeannie Cavett, started the program, but then she ended up going a different way and doing her own thing with her production company. And I kind of fell into the place of the project manager, I guess, for naloxone. And I ended up actually loving that so much more because of the message and what we're doing and the work that we're putting into the community, that I actually quit Gretchen Productions, which is basically just downstairs in the office, like upstairs. Yeah, I just went upstairs, but didn't go back downstairs, if you want to put it that way. And I ended up staying there because, I mean, after seeing all of the parents, when it really started, it was more like peer-to-peer and parent-to-parent, seeing these parents reach out to us for Narcan that we received and that we were buying at the beginning of this with money out of our own budget. And it was taking quite a bit because Narcan at the time really was not available or actually even very affordable at all, especially for a small nonprofit like us. And we were buying it out of our budget, and we were, distributing it to parents and doing these pretty big trainings at the time, and hearing how this Narcan would save their children's lives, and that because they had it in their medicine cabinet and because of our training, that it would, make a different path for them, and that they were able to see their kids another day, and to see them reach their recovery, or, let them fight another day to keep going in their recovery. And that kind of just put me in this place to just stay where I was at and not actually do fashion anymore, because this work meant so much more to me than that.
Yeah. Maybe do you want to just describe what Narcan naloxone is, if somebody doesn't know?
Yeah, so Narcan or naloxone, Narcan's probably the brand name you would hear. Like if the police or the sheriffs are in the hospital, you'd hear that they administered Narcan. That is the brand name of naloxone, which is naloxone hydrochloride, which is the active ingredient in Narcan that reverses the opioid overdose. It doesn't work for any other drug, just opioids, and that's because it affects a certain receptor in the brain, and that receptor, once it's taken over by that opioid and they do overdose, Narcan takes that drug off that receptor, allowing the person to breathe again, because that's what happens when they go into overdose, is that they stop breathing. So it reverses that opioid overdose, and it gives them that chance to breathe so they can be further rescued by emergency medical professionals.
It's such a safe drug that in 2014, I actually testified to change the law in California so that parents and family members could have Narcan in their own medicine cabinets. And our deep belief was that parents and family members are oftentimes the first responder. And it's such a safe drug, why not have the ability to save a loved one's life? And so the program has really taken off, and Narcan is a very simple format. It really should be in everybody's hands. So we work with big grants of the actual Narcan, but we do the training in the community without a fee. And so real quickly before we get back to Krista, because we're talking about working more with youth as well. If you want to kind of describe some of the people that we've done the trainings with, besides Sober Livings and syringe exchanges and that kind of thing.
So since 2014, we've trained over 5,000 people in San Diego County, and we have trained, like Gretchen said, in sober living homes, in sober living homes, parent-to-parent, peer-to-peer, but then we also set up trainings at the Needle Exchange, and we've been in long-standing relationship with them that we come there twice a week to distribute Narcan at the Needle Exchange, which is very, very important for the using population to have access to Narcan, because that's where the real saves are, is when they're around people who are using opioids, so that they can
most at risk. Yeah.
The most at risk, absolutely the most at risk. And then we have teamed up with the Sheriff's Department and Probation, San Diego County Probation, and we have accessed youth groups and everything like that as well. So our reach is broad when it comes to this. And you can actually take our training online, because we set up a partnership as well with the County Behavioral Health. So you can see the online video training, which is about half an hour. It's on our website. So if you go to our website and you go to the naloxone section, you can see that training on there and actually get a kit from taking that online training. And it's on the County Behavioral Health website as well. So with this training, like I said, over 5,000 people trained. We have reversed 1,106 opioid overdoses, which is 1,106 lives saved just from this program alone.
And those are just the ones that are reported. And of course, during the COVID-19, the sense of isolation, the inability to get to meetings in person, all of this is making those numbers of overdoses climb. So that our work is really urgent. And Strut for Sobriety, now Strut for Saving Lives, is really not just a fundraiser and a celebration of recovery, but it's also our major fundraiser. So we appreciate you're getting involved and watching it and seeing the work that we do. Krista, I reached out to you not too long ago to talk to you about wanting to get youth more involved in the solution. I mean, the youth are experiencing this as well, and it's a little harder to reach out. And so, and then Krista reached out to me a couple of weeks ago with this news. And so, Krista, if you would share.
Yeah, just literally 10 days apart from each other. I had two of my recent graduates, both pass away from an accidental overdose. And, if they would have had Narcan, or maybe if a family member or somebody had that in hand, that would have been helpful. But we just want to do more. We're like, how can we do more? And I even spoke to our principal about it, and we're definitely going to, do the question of like, what can we do, and have April train us. I said, let's do more. We need to do more and start talking about it.
Yeah, we want to be sure that certainly that school administrators have them, but now a lot of kids are home, or they're some going in person, some not. But the parents can be depressed and be using more substances than they normally would as well. And what a beautiful thing to have a child, teen, save the lives of a parent, not as well as a peer. So the problem is always stigma. And so there's that sense of, why are we wasting our resources on somebody who's just a drug user? And that creates this creates stigma, prejudice. And so much of the work that we've done is about reducing stigma, and yet stigma is alive and well across all cultures, across the healthcare industry. Certainly in criminal justice, it stigmatizes. So it's really important to bring the youth into this, because they're watching their friends die. They know what's happening out there, and how empowering to make them part of the solution, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to. It's such an easy training that I did at April's training and or Elon's training. Actually, Elon did it, and I have it in my medicine cabinet, and I was showing them, like, look how easy this is. You just squirt it in their nose. It's that simple. Everybody should have it.
Since you said Elon, what brings me to this work is that both of my sons struggled for decades with addiction to heroin. And they're both in long-term recovery now, and both work as drug and alcohol counselors. And they both work with A New Path to reduce the stigma. And Elon is on the team with April, as well as Nate, distributing into the community now. So everybody's involved in this life-saving work. I want to pivot to the actual event for a minute. With Gretchen Productions, our shows include singers and dancers, and it's really a big theatrical extravaganza. But because of COVID, we're learning how to keep those elements alive, make it a celebration, a joyful celebration, as well as educational. So we're learning a lot about the format of this. So there will be an hour of clips from past shows, sponsorships, some education about what we do, but we'll keep it rolling so you're both entertained and inspired. And then at 1 o'clock, will be a live fashion show that's socially distanced in a big warehouse, which is interesting in and of itself, but it should be really, we promise it to be a very entertaining and inspirational event. And this day, of course, is incredibly important to me because I'm wearing these two hats: the organization that we started now 21 years ago, and that Gretchen Productions doing the fashion show production, and now figuring out how to do all of this virtually.
Yeah.
Yeah. April, I'll pivot back to you. April still does do some work with fashion because she can't say no to me when I drag her in. So she does have that background, but I think she became very passionate about the exactly what happened with me, that element of wanting to save lives and really do something important. Fashion is fun and it's artistic and it's creative expression, which is all very important, but it also became very critically important to be actually saving lives, certainly during troubled times.
Yeah, and I mean, even with the pandemic too, after I've been hearing at the Needle Exchange, I go there, like we said, I go once a week. I split it with Elon, with Gretchen's son Elon, and he goes once a week as well. And during the pandemic, I mean, just in this amount of time, not even from how long I've been here in the past 6 years, have there been so many stories of people just telling me like, their friends are using more than they ever have before. There is more access to fentanyl now, which is so dangerous. And people are actually just doing fentanyl, even if they know that it's that much stronger. Fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin. And there are people who are actively using just fentanyl because that is what is making them feel better. That is what is, they're self-medicating. That's what they're going through right now. I mean, there's so much going on even just within the pandemic, and the scope of that is so much more than we can even imagine. So to be out in the community and hear of like these reversals and these thank yous that we get, and sometimes I don't even feel comfortable, getting the credit, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And even when Gretchen introduces me at other conferences and things like that, and she's, thanks me for the work that I'm doing, I can't even feel that responsible for it, I guess. Like I'm very happy to be involved in my community and with a new path. But this drug is what makes it happen. And Narcan, we're just kind of that vessel that helps it, move along to be able to go to people's medicine cabinets and be in their hands. But the work from fashion design and all of that world is so different. And the feeling that I get and everything that it stands for to help people get that second chance, because you can't get a second chance if you're dead. And I don't believe that we should be stigmatizing people for their choice, whether it was by choice or because of self-medication or whatever their backstory is, to not judge them and give them that chance to live. And Narcan's the way out of that. And so, it's not even a preventative thing. It's something that's an after effect after someone's overdose, but it's so important to embrace like harm reduction strategies. And that's why I'm so passionate to be here, is because we have to kind of turn that tide and like get the people that are turning their cheeks away from harm reduction to turn their cheek in that direction, because it's not going to, the war on drugs isn't going to end until everybody kind of has that same kind of thought process.
Yeah. Krista, when she's talking about stigma, and I look back over, you're almost 20 years and PATH was started 21 years ago. So, 2 decades ago, there was there was more stigma attached, and it was harder to get people to come out and declare that they're a person in recovery, and now a person in long-term recovery. And now we're seeing, I mean, when the runway fills with people, we've got doctors and lawyers and Indian chiefs. You know, we've got everybody on the runway. So we have seen a change that people are coming out, telling their stories, and I know in the beginning for my son is he's got 16 years, I think, coming up on 17. Elon, there was. I mean, people had kept it quiet, and parents weren't talking about it because that was sort of like this shameful thing that you pushed into the closet. So I see you as you were one of the pioneers, Krista, really speaking out at an early time when you were busting through stigma to speak out. Can you address that?
I just felt I was so grateful, and I wanted to share. You know, you think that you're doing something because it's making you feel better and it's super fun, but it was, it wasn't. It's a depressant, and I would drink alcohol, and then I'd make all these terrible decisions. It'd be like one bad, and then you're like, what is happening? So nice to be consistent, and so nice to know that you're going to be somebody that people can count on. And I just feel like I got a second chance, and in my life, I don't even really feel like anymore. I just feel like this is who I am, and I found myself, and I'm grateful to just like be that role model. Look at me. I'm always a designated driver if I need to be, and everybody can tell you that you can have a lot of fun. You could be a lot of fun and be sober. Yeah. There are people a little freaked out sometimes when they're like, you don't drink? What? And I'm like, it's fine. Yeah, I'm great. Good.
And my younger son is back doing all those things that he loved doing as a child, surfing and snowboarding, and he's got a really active lifestyle that sort of defined him when he was younger, that he just kind of lost along the way. And so in through his recovery, he's coming back to the person that he was, and all of those kind of joyful moments, that natural highs that
it's so good to see him. He's transformed. I mean, both of us, I feel like we have that same light now that just came back, that was gone. We were like dim bulbs before. It's like, are you ever going to be yourself again? Where's that happy kid that you used to be? I mean, we grew up together.
Yeah.
So it's so good to see him thriving, and to have been given that chance, and have all your unconditional love that you just kept on saying, come on, get back up again, and never giving up.
Yeah.
And if I get stuck, you have to make that decision for yourself that it's going to be now.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So I'm going to describe a little bit about Strut. The day is going to be chock full. Some people are doing small socially distanced parties, watch parties. You can watch on your own to get the link. There's several opportunities. If you go on our website, www.anewpath.org, the invitation is there, and you can find out. But one of the things I neglected to mention, well, two things. One is that we are honoring Patty McCarthy, who is the executive director of Faces and Voices of Recovery. It's an amazing organization. It started about 2 decades ago as well. And is, international now. So we're honoring her for her wonderful advocacy work. But the other is, it's a shopping experience. So we have several groups that are involved, and you can shop online, and a percentage of the proceeds will go back to A New Path. You can text to donate. So it's shopping, it's music, it's dancing, it's modeling.
It's photography, right? It's with photography. You can get your family photos, your family portraits. With
yeah. So please join us for that day. I'm about 5 minutes, and I'm going to toss it back to each of you to see if you have anything that you want to say, invite, anything that I missed. When Krista describes my son Aaron's recovery as well as hers, think about it. There are millions of stories like this, and we try to highlight as many as we can. It's really, really awe-inspiring. So I'm going to toss it to you, April.
So about Strut for Saving Lives and Strut for Sobriety, normally every year, even when I was in the fashion aspect of it, every single year during the recovery, I'm already tearing up. During the recovery model portion, I get to know everybody, a little bit before the event, because I get to talk to the recovery models, ask them how long they've been in recovery, what they're doing now, and their story, like we said, which we share while they're walking the runway to talk about their recovery and their celebration, and we're celebrating them. And every single year, whether I'm backstage working fashion section of it, or if I'm on, the front, like in the front end in the ballroom or wherever we're at, and virtually now, I always cry because I hear their stories. And when they come back from that runway, they are so happy to be walking down that runway and have their stories shared to the world that they can do it. They've done it. They're living a great life. They're so excited to be sharing that day with everyone. And I just see their expressions, and every single time, and I'm doing it right now, I get so emotional because I'm so proud of them. And even if I've never met them before, and I met them that day or a month before, asking them for their size and their, what they're doing now, to see how excited they get to show that they can do this and they've done this, and their families are there to support them, or they know that they got that, those a couple pictures even just on the runway to say this is what I did that day because I'm celebrating however long in recovery. That gets me every time. So even without all of the entertainment that we have and everything that we put on during that 1 hour like fashion show, basically, with all of that stuff aside, that is my absolute favorite portion, is to actually see the look on everyone's face that rocks down that runway that's in recovery.
Krista.
Exactly. That's how I felt. And it's also fun to see everybody in line. And sometimes you see familiar faces. Like there's been some celebrities in the line, and I'm like, no way, oh my gosh. And it's exciting. You want to go talk to them and be like, tell me your story. So it's really fun. We're all excited to be there. And it's who else gets to celebrate something so big like that together?
Yeah, a shout out to, speaking of celebrities, little Tommy Sablon has been involved in this. So he's got a little video clip. Jeannie Cavett is involved. Rory Devine, NBC San Diego, is involved, and have been supporting. And I want a big shout out, thank you to all of our sponsors and long-term supporters of A New Path and for Strut. And I have to say that exactly what you said, April and Krista. I'm the one that's commentating at the back of the room, and I always say, now you be a professional, don't cry. And as I'm saying the last words, you can always hear my voice choking up because I can never actually
quieter. Yeah, you get more quiet. And it's funny because you try to be professional the whole time, and I have a headset or wherever I am in the room, and my eyes are just watering and they're just like pouring down my face, but I'm smiling because I'm very happy and excited for everybody. But yeah, keeping it together that during that like portion of the show is just, it's almost impossible to be able to not like cry happy tears.
So we celebrate the millions of people in recovery around the world. Here's one good thing about virtual. You can join us from wherever you are this year. You don't have to be local in San Diego, which is where we're based, to join us. So again, the website is anewpath.org, and you can get all the information there, and you can contact us if you have any questions, or you can reach out on Facebook, whatever you prefer. But please join us September 26th. Join a few minutes before 12 so that you can get on. Okay, we'll get the link out to people, and then be prepared to be fully entertained and inspired until 1:30 in the afternoon Pacific time. So thank you all for joining us today, and again, congratulations to everybody who celebrates recovery. We celebrate you. Thank you.
Thank you.